Welcome back, Kaspa community. Our crew is in an uproar as some of the fair weather friends have been running around claiming Kaspa's dead, screaming frantically, advising everybody to follow their lead into putting their Kaspa into meme coins. This is unprecedentedly out there as a theory. In fact, as we break down the details of what's causing this downside price action on Kaspa, as soon as people started swapping their advanced technology blockjag coded coins, which have an immense value spent on the programmers building that, into the KRC20 inscription JPEGs on chain. The word minted itself is very elusive. You're buying those JPEGs on chain. It's not like they're storing the Kaspa for you for later. It's sold. You don't have your commodity anymore. Now you've got a JPEG. And there's plenty of reasons to say that meme coins will go up in value. They're a thermometer to retail involvement. I personally don't invest in them, but what's happening with Kaspa right now is, and this is why it was so easy for us to short the KRC20 inscriptions, as soon as you hand that cash money commodity to the teams that put a JPEG, some marketing website, and a few tweets out on the Intersphere, they just made millions of dollars. And they're doing a bank run on Kaspa. You want to know where the selling's coming from? It's coming from all the Kaspa that just got swapped, minted for meme coins. Absolute bloodbath. But now that that saga's over, we're moving onward. Now, out of all of the content that's been covering negative thumbnails on Kaspa, Crypto Archie came up with something and he did a good job. He put together some basic fundamentals that are common within the crypto community. I've used them myself. And what we're going to do is take a deep dive into particularly the 500 day after the halving theory. Now, when we're talking about getting rich and making millions of dollars, everybody wants it to be quick and easy, particularly me. The fact of the matter is, if it was so easy that you had to, as this diagram shows, buy at the low, wait 500 days, and then sell at the top over and over again every 4 years, that would be something else. But in fact, as we dig deeper in, we will completely debunk this in every detail. Starting off with by looking directly at the NASDAQ. We're going to start to look at the prior two peaks caused by these halving events. And you'll notice that the NASDAQ was peaking 500 days and then having a downside parallel with Bitcoin. So there's another driving factor behind there. And what that factor is, you guys already know what I'm about to say. It's the FOMC and rate cuts. That's what's ultimately fueling risk on markets as a whole. Part of Satoshi's genius was weaving this all together. This weekend is going to be packed with information. So make sure that you guys hit subscribe right now if you haven't already. The KII reached out to this VIP group. You want to know why? I heard through the grapevine, one of the Kaspa team members joined our group to take a look at the stuff that we have inside here. In my opinion, it may have been the repeating trendline system, which we're looking at a close-up version of right now. This goes into another reason why VIP groups are so important, is because we can't spend every video explaining the detail of this chart setup or the FOMC factors. So the KII is giving us new information about Kaspa going head-to-head competing with XRP because they're going to be ISO 222 compliant. That's something that XRP does that allows these bank-to-bank cross-border payments. It's one of their strongest bullish catalysts. And the gigawatt coin is stepping up on that. Of course, we're doing more research into that. The DII, the KII right now, Marathon Digital, they're opening up new mining facility. Huge wattage power. Guess where it falls into? Directly in the DII's territory, the KII zone, right around the Middle East. That's where these guys rock and roll. What's going on there zoomed out just to give you guys some breadcrumbs into this weekend's videos, which are going to be bangers. They're actually, the KII will release the gigawatt white paper inside a crypto meeting filled with top of the food chain investment banker class. And then we'll get a copy inside VIP next of the gigawatt white paper. So it's going to be huge. This is a massive catalyst for Kaspa taking place right now. When you compare the strength of KRC20 with their meme coin inscription mania and the KII, it's like night and day. All of these energy producers are starting to build green energy production right now. They're getting ready for the next phase of evolution. They've got the most cash in the world, and they're spending it on figuring out solar, wind, and this new specifically bullish one known as hydrogen, where they actually take a water molecule and just turn it into energy. And in order to use this, it already works in a laboratory. It's already happening. They need to scale it up, which includes massive pipelines. And of course, they need some type of a digital asset to do the transactions on. So as we go through these figures and these calculations, adjusting, and we're using the power law system because it's what Archie brought up in his video. Personally, I don't really like the power law, but people go with it. So we're just going to use that to scale down, which is what brings us directly to this 500-day theory. Thanks for the check on the audio. It may be mic distance. Let me turn this up a bit. There we go. Okay. We're going to include that in the videos that we're coming up with this weekend, Cody, because there's still loads of research to be done inside this entire. To give you guys a breadcrumb trail, you want to do some research on your own. It's the EFET, the European Federation of Energy Traders. This is like a side league. Like, we're into crypto, there's stocks, then there's energy traders. And with the tokenization of carbon credits, there's a lot of other entities, digital, that can also be tokenized and getting built on Kaspa, which is giving it a massive jackpot factor. The first thing that we've got to debunk is this 500 to 550 days. And I can tell you, I've used this personally myself. When Satoshi designed Bitcoin, he had a feel for what's known as the global liquidity cycle, just to get everybody up to speed on what Satoshi's secret is. This is a photo of it. You can see it's about every 5 years, there's a massive waxing and waning with the cash around the world. This is global liquidity. Right now, we're at the bottom. During the last market peak, we're at the top, and we're starting to rise back up to it. Now, what this is representing is how much money is captured inside of the bond markets. And looking at just these one-year treasuries alone, we're going to get massive insight into when the Fed ultimately controls the market. They are the central banks. They work hand in hand with the institutional investment layer banking, and then retail's at the bottom of the food chain. We've got to remember, we're at a poker table here with a bunch of different players, guys. We are retail. We've got the teams, and these KR-20 meme coins just took retail for a run with this Kaspa deal. Everybody was thinking it was going to be going to the upside, but in fact, as we knew inside VIP, way before it happened, we were like, yeah, this is going to come back down. This is something we made September 11th, right when the KRC20 news came out. We were like, yep, this is going to go up, bounce off this resistance line, and come back down here just based off the fundamentals that those teams will sell. They're cashing out, running right to the bank. They've got expenses, loans. They have quota to meet. Now that rabbit hole goes deeper because we're in a very specific time in the market cycle right now. As everybody knows, Powell just stepped up and he started cutting rates. Everybody's probably heard this rumor. If you're watching financial TV, Powell was late. Powell did not cut rates on time. He delayed it. And this will drastically affect the up and coming bull run. And that's what we're going to break down and prove right now. So inside of Archie's prior hypothesis, which we're constructively building on top of, he did a great video. He stated his case and he gave all the facts and data. This is how the scientific method is conducted. Now we do a peer review and we're looking for the objective truth. And I think as we add this extra layer on top of Archie's presentation, we're going to find that objective truth here. So we were looking at the date that's correlating with the 500-day rule of thumb. That puts Kaspa at $1. But in fact, because the market just started to cut back rates, because it's just starting to push this massive bubble of cash, this is the global liquidity on a much more local US stage. Right now, there's no cash on the street in businesses because of inflation, because of quantitative easing. The central banks have to hold a massive amount of that money that they print, and they do this through utilizing the bond markets, and they're just paying out a yield. Obviously, in time, this entire system will self-destruct, but they're able to maintain it for a projected 100 years. As of right now, these bond yields are high, showing the central banks are holding a lot of this cash. And as they just cut rates on September 11th, they're starting to let the air out of this bubble right now. This is a time release catalyst that will start to rocket price up down the road. Just to get the new viewers up to speed, and this underlines how important having a VIP is as we get everybody up to speed, because there's so much more back checking to do, and to be able to apply this to trading is what it's all about. This is what every news pundit on TV is doing. They're digesting the information, the data sets that's coming down to the central banks, and then making projections onto what they're going to do and where this bubble of cash is going to go. We can see this clear day, February 20th, 2020, and we're going to actually take this over to the stock market in this video and add a whole nother layer to it, debunking that the halving is a massive catalyst. 1 year later, February 20th, 2021, Bitcoin reaches its top. The altcoins begin their run-up phase. Next up, we have the distribution phase for the altcoins, which runs an additional 280 days. Okay, excuse me. The February 20th day is 288 days after. The 500 mark date is here. And then altcoins still have an excessive 150 extra days, showing you what's actually moving the markets. When we jump over and look at these exact dates on stocks, you can see this is the QQQ. This is the entire stock market, all of the NASDAQ as a whole. Look at this monstrous downside. Starting here, November 2021, right at the end. On Bitcoin, That's right here. That's the 500-day mark. And then we're getting downside. So seeing these parallels is showing us right away. Why is the NASDAQ dropping at the exact same time that Bitcoin is? It's because the halving isn't the number one catalyst. That's not what's really moving everything. What's moving it is the money. The halving is only restricting the supply. It's the bond market that's increasing the demand, flooding cash into this market. And because Powell has delayed the rate cuts, this entire 500-day model is going to be thrown off. It's going to be led askew. Now, there's other factors as well. We're going to start breaking down the prior tops, which actually formed a blow-off top. We've got to factor in the popularity of crypto. This is another thing that's going to drive this market to continue stronger. Now, when we look into the FOMC's actual documents and see what they're reporting for rate cut cycles, they're looking at cutting rates throughout 2025. Now, we've brought up some important articles that are talking about the Fed's rate cuts. Right now, the ultimate peak that's about to form for crypto, it's still undecided. It's in the central bank's hands. They have two options that they can roll out with. One, they do a drastic cut right in the first quarter of 2025. And the other, they do more of a slow cut, inching around every quarter throughout 2025, depending on what they do and how fast they bring rate cuts down, how fast they release air from this bubble. This is going to be what shapes the top of Bitcoin, not the 500-day halving count. Looking forward to these dates, so the 288 days after the halving, which forms this top here on February, just to give another layer to disproving the halving, that will be on January 31st. Scrolling up even farther until we get to 500, that's right around October 10th, 2025. Looking at the halving right here, we had already had a massive run up, and this is from the popularity of crypto with the ETFs coming on the scene. Thus, when we take all this information back to the FOMC rate cuts, we can see they're slashing rates in 2025 and then holding them down into 2026 and 2027, prolonging the peak of this bull run, particularly if they cut rates fast in quarter one, getting them down quicker. Bringing this directly over to Kaspa, we've got to start pushing the date farther back than October of 2025. And we can see this on altcoin tops as well. That's the 500-day mark right there. And then you have an additional 150 days. This is the prior cycle on altcoins, 500-day top. And then because of the bond structure, they were raising rates, causing more downside, but you still got this run up about 150 days later. So you've got to extend this farther, all correlating with the bond data. As of right now, selling on October of 2025 is poised to be early because of the FOMC's action. It would be so much easier if it would all come down to a slogan like 500 days and then we sell, but it's a far more complex model than that. And as we start to raise awareness, we can start to make more informed decisions about when the market top is actually going to peak. And this plays a direct hand into other altcoin plays. First off, let's go a step farther and dissect some of these blue chip picks that people are saying have a better chance to have a strong bull market than Kaspa. Based on Kaspa's recent pullback, one of them, of course, is SUI. Just talking price action alone here, SUI went from 220 down to all the way to 45 cents. That's getting slashed into a fifth. That's a massive hack away. Looking at Tau, very strong. Flagship artificial intelligence project goes from $775 all the way down to under $200, slashed into more than a quarter. 25% of all-time high. Meanwhile, what's Kaspa? Kaspa took a 37% hit from its all-time highs, barely even phased. Top performer for 2 years in a row. Massive correlation with this bond bubble, typically during FOMC cycles. And there's an up-and-coming date for Kaspa, which is aligning with all of this FOMC data so much that, in my opinion, of course, we'll never be able to confirm or deny this, the team is awaiting the 10 BPS crescendo launch for more favorable market conditions. Like we just went over on the Bitcoin chart, January 31st will mark the 280 days after the halving. So some pressure from restriction is definitely starting to get there in correlation to the bond market, which is why we have to adjust the 500. That would signal the prior run-up. From now to January 30th, it doesn't look like we're going to have a chance to even get over 6 figures, but it does spur the start of upside movement on crypto, a potential rally, particularly as the books are now clear. It's Q1 of a new season. People have more risk on ability. But more importantly, particularly if the Fed decides to go hard on rate cuts in Q1 2025, like we were saying, this is still up in the air. The policies that are coming down the food chain haven't even been made yet. Let's say in the most bullish scenario and easiest to trade, the Fed comes out and they start whacking rates down in Q1, and then they're done with all the rate cuts. They're looking at taking a full point off from the 2024 numbers, and they can do that right in Q1, which will make this way easier to trade and more bullish as well. Because we'll have the information. We'll know what the Fed's doing. That ends the entire rate cut cycle, which historically, the last time they cut rates on Bitcoin was back here in 2019. Very close to the halving, but look what happened last time. Last time, the halving was after rate cuts, which is showing, again, that point that I was making. Powell is late to the party. He should have been cutting rates sooner, but he kept delaying it and delaying it because of all the printing that they had from lockdowns. There is a tinfoil hat conspiracy that you could go with the KRC20 launch. They know those meme coin teams are going to dump Kaspa, hands down. I mean, there's no if, ands, or buts about it. That was a 100% bearish catalyst. The word minting is very elusive. You are buying those, trading a commodity for a JPEG, and instantly those teams had to borrow money, put money up to advertise their meme coins. They ran straight to the bank with it. They're not Kaspa investors, they're coders. They might not even have a crypto bag. They were just building on chain, cashing out. That's what caused the fire sale. Hands down. We knew about this inside VIP the whole time. We were just waiting for the dump to take place to scoop up the low prices. Some members were shorting. We had a short sale trading plan for everybody outside the US. So this data comes in now in January. The rates are down. Now they can do the 10 BPS crescendo launch. We're in better market conditions. It's the start of a new year. Companies and entities are ready to put on risk, and to top it all off, you get the 10 BPS upgrade, which is huge add-on for Kaspa. It's a game changer. Hands down. Yes, and Archie did a great video. And what we're doing is respectfully looking for the objective truth here by breaking down points. And we've ourselves used the 550-day models multiple times. And that's a great starting point that we can then build off and sort of augmentate. Just like inside our VIP, we use the wick off breakout method to catch all of the Kaspa trades. Touching base with this wick off method, it involves a gravitational field. This is part of our augmentation. Let me show you what I'm talking about. See these X-axis repeating trend lines in gold? These happen over and over and over again on the Kaspa chart. In my opinion, that's why one of the Kaspa team members probably joined our VIP, is because we have this very unique charting method that this actually I got off of the dark corners of the internet. Somebody else thought of this, not on Kaspa. I originally saw this on a flux chart. The repeating trend line system, because cryptos have a strict halving and emission schedule. On Bitcoin, this creates a huge wave every 4 years, but that phenomenon can be traced back down into every time frame, and this repeating trend line keeps happening over and over again. Now, to augmentate the wick off method, you put a gravitational field on these and you look for the breakout. This is how we've been so successful with Kaspa charting callouts. 10x leverage here. We opened VIP here. On the last retrace, the last downtrend, cold storage buy-ins at 11.5 and under, and then long leverage trades as we escaped this gravitational field right here at 12.5. Right now, we're in this new gravitational field, and here's the reason. Using technical analysis plus the fundamentals that we just covered, teams selling, rate cuts, are ultimately bearish. We'll get back to the Bitcoin chart in a moment because Bitcoin's about to lose all of its upside from this FOMC meeting. It's been testing this level twice now. It just had a strong bounce off of it, but is soon to give way. Look at the size of this gravitational field. Because of that breakout that we had and using the gravitational field, as soon as this line got crossed back here on July 26th, we entered more leverage trades. That's how good these X-axis resistance lines work, how accurate they are. We got this break to the upside. Of course, we recognize the head and shoulders, put the stop loss in, didn't correlate it with the BOJ, didn't realize how detrimental it would be. All these leverage trades from down here were so low, they survived that wick. And as we ran back up, we're bouncing off the exact same trend line. And we had that set up all the way back in the day before this peak even hit. This is how we knew we would come back and connect here. Because of the width of this, it makes it so much harder to escape. Look at this downward price channel. It's huge compared to the other ones. This one had a very thin gravitational field. This one was a bit beefier, and it was challenging to break out. I remember right back here on April 12th, everybody thought we were going to start running right there, right then. But there was no way, because we had just barely started challenging the gravitational field. And as we know with resistance lines, the first time you step up to a resistance line, you don't cross it. It takes a few attempts before you can break through that resistance. Here, first attempt, second attempt, third attempt, we get a pass, massive rejection, and we're right back down on this exact same x-axis charting. And you can use this across any cryptocurrency, from Tau to Bitcoin, and it's extremely insightful. Looking at Tau, when you zoom in, this lines up even better. This isn't even the space age part. Wait till we move this exact trend line over. See all the downtrends? Right on the same axis, right at the exact same angle. You clone this, slide it over to the other gravitational field, and then zoom in. Look, fits like an absolute glove. We actually posted this inside of our VIP right here at September 19th. And then boom, bounces off, hits resistance, bounces off, and it's been using these trend lines and has, of course, jumped up to the blue zone exactly like we predicted. And there are layers more into that call out inside VIP. Pretty funky stuff. Amazing technical analysis. Really. We've got to factor in that this is going to be a prolonged bull run based on the FOMC data. And by using the stock market to completely debunk everything, noticing the dates that are supposed to be because of the Bitcoin halving, where everything turns around to the downside, actually the stock market's doing the exact same thing. When Bitcoin had its massive run up, guess what else was peaking right here? GameStop, the stock, because all of this cash is coming from the bond market. So building on top of that model, pay attention to the bonds. That's why it's all over television. And what makes a good content creator, in my opinion, and what we teach inside VIP with every trade, combining technical analysis with fundamental crypto analyzation, is correlating it to the bond market as well. Figuring out how the FOMC economic data is going to affect everything. This is how we picked Kaspa out way back in the day and how we picked out some of our other gems. Looking at this FOMC meeting, rocket to the upside. You see this pattern that's forming? This is correlating directly with the investment banking class. These are the guys that buy around the FOMC dates. This is so under-discussed or incorrectly reviewed in crypto. Crypto banter, altcoin daily, they all got together and decided to go long on May 5th because the FOMC raised rates, offering more yield in their DeFi bubble, thus inviting the investment banker class to take their cash out of risk-on assets and put it in the government bonds. Flip around. We actually were shorting then. There was a massive dumpster fire in altcoins. Jane Street directly sold all of their Robinhood or Webull holdings. Huge disarray. And look at what happened on Kaspa. The exact same timeline. It's level while all of altcoins were in a bloodbath, and then it starts ramping up, which showed us immediately somebody big is buying Kaspa. Using hindsight, it's Marathon Digital and their friends because they started mining right around here. So, of course, they have 24-point reports detailing Kaspa around. Ever since this FOMC meeting upside, we have in our VIP group these reports. This is Gem Hunting 101, how to do it correctly. We get into a lot of the traditional stuff, looking at the tokenomics, investigating the teams, taking it a step farther, but also correlating it to these bond markets and FOMC data, looking for really strong projects. Coming off of the last FOMC meeting, taking away all the micro caps, 10 million and under, we have the leading artificial intelligence, just the leading picks out of all 10,000 projects in the market. We've got the #1 runners, which include this beast, DEAI, which was my first side bag that I started building since Kaspa. As this is beefing up, even though we didn't really directly diversify, we do time diversification. If you're stepping up and you've got 50,000 bucks, instead of splitting it up into 5, 10,000 in each one, go for it. Look for the one that's at the best discount. Get a massive position. This is going to help you so much with your human error. This is exactly what Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger will advise you to do. And then start allocating your savings into your next pick once you can no longer pack your bags. Now, this is very easy to say for somebody who's been investing in crypto for the past 400, 500 days. We've still got another year until this run-up phase kicks off. Once these rate cuts start affecting the bond market and everything starts to go nuclear, ripping to the upside. So keeping in mind how to correlate this project, what type it is, into when it's going to get upside, you want to pack your bags with the projects that are going to have the most upside first, which are strong layer ones like Kaspa. GameFi projects, even meme coins, can break out later in the distribution phase, later in the market cycle, because they require that on-chain stimulus in cash to build and develop. AI is going to be a huge narrative. So we have 24-point reports on Spectral and DEAI. These are gems, and to trade them, to know them well, get a copy of the 24-point report. They're like 8 or 9 pages plus links and web tools, give you a full understanding of the project inside and out. So you'll be able to make more informed decision and also conduct gem hunting on your own. Absolutely. We're sitting at the table with institutional investors, central banks, and the teams just hoodwinked retail hardcore. As people were swapping their Kaspa in for JPEGs on chain, those guys ran right to the bank and started selling the Kaspa out, obviously, which is what they were going to do every time. That was always going to be to the downside. So now's the time to start training yourself to utilize FOMC data, to really hone in with what's going on in financial TV. When I'm giving people one-on-one consultations with their portfolio, one of the steps that we go over is starting to watch financial television. You got to turn that on. You got to soak in. What are all these news pundits jabbering about? Why is this so important and on every channel? It has everything to do with the crypto market, particularly this cycle top. Forget about 500 days. That's not going to work this time. There's way too many other variables that are just going to squash that entire theory. This is going to be a delayed market. It's going to be a longer bull run. All because Powell and the FOMC delayed their hitch. So meanwhile, everybody's saying, oh, I'm running into meme coins, which is, in my opinion, ridiculous to trade your Kaspa for a JPEG on chain, which is what got us here in the first place anyway. And they're saying, oh, Sui, look at how bad Sui did, and Tau. They all had monster downside. And Kaspa slightly phased. Meanwhile, it's the #1 performing project for 2 years in a row. We've got loads of super good information on the European Federation of Energy Trading, green energy. Kaspa is going to be going head-to-head with XRP just through Gigawatt alone, which is a project built on top of Kaspa. Tons of bullish catalysts. Just wait. Mark my words. These fair weather friends that have been running around talking smack about Kaspa, as soon as the Fed's done their rate cuts, Q1 of 2025, they wrap up all their rate cuts, crescendo 10 BPS launches. They'll be sorry that they backed out right then. That's the moment. Retail is very short-sighted. We're always looking for instant gratification. We want price to go up now. Right? But these guys are big players, and they're about to throw crypto the biggest curveball of its life. Everybody wants quick and easy, man. Everybody wants quick and easy, and the most quick and easy method is 500 days after the Bitcoin halving, we will reach a market top. And yes, it is logical, but in today's video, when we broke down in the intro, there's tons of dates correlated with that. Go over it for yourself and make sure that you pull up this other chart, the QQQ, and you pull up the 1-year treasury, which is going to show you where the Fed is adjusting rates and what's going on. And you will see a picture as clear as day that in fact the halving is only a slight catalyst that Satoshi wove in to help Bitcoin absorb all of this extra capital as the demand is increasing, as the bubble deflates for the global liquidity cycle. It was an ingenious invention. The halving is built to work with Bitcoin. Powell and the guys at the FOMC, they're not cutting rates right directly with the halving because they like Bitcoin, but they are. This was the last halving right here. This was the last rate cut cycle from here to here, and then the halving. 4 years later, magically, oh yeah, the Central Bank of the United States is stepping up and they're going to start cutting rates again right here. Guess what just happened? Satoshi programmed Bitcoin to know their moves in the future based on this model here, the global liquidity cycle, to absorb that cash. Aha! We must know this to call ourselves crypto investors. This is what Satoshi was leading us to. This is why Bitcoin is our #1 tool to fight against the corruptions of the central banks and to liberate man. And yes, to get us rich too. But understanding the process is part of what Satoshi wanted us to do. So when you're gem hunting, having this information inside your head gives everything that you would check in the projects previously an entirely new complexion. You'll start looking at things differently. And it's been unbelievably profitable. We found the #1 gem picks so far off of this FOMC meeting, which is super telling of what's going to happen in the bull market. They just declared to all of the investment banking class, okay, the bull runs on. We're going to cut rates.
Every battle is won before it's ever fought.
The pieces are already in line, and the investment bankers have an even more detailed perspective than us. They have experts from MIT as well as that have gone to school for 8 years studying economics. There's more than just the 1-year treasury yield bond. There's AAA high securities. There's green bonds. There's a whole world of economics that's influencing Bitcoin and the crypto charts. And we've got to take it all in order to become better traders. And we can really see the corruption that's happening on the highest levels of central banking, which is why Satoshi built this, in my opinion, to enlighten us all and give us a life raft for when this system eventually explodes. That's how we found Spectral. That's how we found DEAI, which has been rocketing to the upside. I wish that it would stop rocketing up because I want to buy more. Super rip, and we've got the report on it. It's great. It was my first side bag from Kaspa. You guys remember the Bank of Japan carry trade? We had the absolute #1 best swing trade in the entire market as well as a couple others that were in the top 100. And we're talking about 10,000 picks here. And most of them are meme coins that you never heard of. We're not talking about just quality projects. We're talking about Goblin the Cat and Rover the Robot. We have to compete with those too, the no-name meme coins. This swing trade for a gaming token of all things that was based in Japan. So we knew when the carry trade went down, it would have a massive negative effect. And this is a strong project overall. Massive upside. From under 50 cents to over $2. We took profit a bit early. Some guys held on. That was a leading swing trade. And so was Spectral. I backed the truck up and loaded Spectral. We had the buy alert at 520, but I went for 483 and just scooped it up. And then it came back down and there was another chance to get it. You could have like double dipped into it. Spectral is a beast. Polychain Capital, they're the guys who did Tau. So this is the thing when we're comparing Sui and Tau together, we're in the top 100 here. Kaspa has way more jackpot factors. The fact that it doesn't even have 10 BPS yet. It doesn't even have smart contracts yet. The KII, the gigawatt coin, the carbon credit market is 400 billion. That could be all put on chain this cycle. Do you realize that? The KII could put the entire carbon credit market on chain this cycle. That's the size of Ethereum. So many jackpot factors taking the power law out of nullifying it. This is the power law for Kaspa at 1 BPS. Before smart contracts, before the upgrade. After Crescenda, it's an entirely new animal. Right now, it's a caterpillar running around eating leaves. You can chart how that caterpillar is going to crawl, how many leaves it's going to eat. Once it turns into a cocoon, once these rate cuts are done and then they launch that, it's a whole new beast. That's one of the reasons why it really can't compare to any other blue chips. Kaspa is such a unique asset and it has so much scalability and jackpot factors because the KII is involved. We have a 24-point report on Aether. It's a very important project to understand. They have more hash power than the entire DePIN sector put together. Yes, Galaxy is my boy. We go way back. Let me tell you the history of this, what's happening right now. This is not the first time that people have been going after Kaspa. Way back in the day, at the bottom of the cup, it was me, Galaxy, Crypto John, who I did a diss on, but I wanted to take my hat off to him because he just did a video about CPI yesterday. And I thought, absolutely, round of applause. That's great content for John, thinking on his feet, and he's incorporating FOMC data to help people make their best, most informed decision. So you got to give props where they're due. It was just us. We were the only bullish guys for Kaspa along with Kaspa Silver. We were like the four musketeers. Son of a Tech was going crazy, and he's kind of like a team leader amongst these guys that are sold his Kaspa. So all these other guys who do ASAC videos, I sold Kaspa at the bottom. I specifically remember buying his Kaspa off him and saying, you wait, bro, in your face. I just backed my truck up and went all in on Kaspa right around here. Right when he was dumping, like right here, I loaded the truck up right after the FOMC meeting, like we always do. Best way to trade is use FOMC meeting knowledge. It has the most dynamic influences over the market. Right now, we're waiting on the election. Let's get into that in a second. Son of a tech. And so all of his friends, everybody with less subscribers than him that makes content about the hardware, they were all going, oh yeah, the ASICs are going to wreck Kaspa. It's a dumpster fire. Channels that you never even heard of were popping up in the Kaspa feed just to diss Kaspa, doing all kinds of complex charting and fundamental research, saying that it is cooked. This all happened right through here. And it was me and Galaxies. We're like, nope. We're rolling with Kaspa. It's legit. I remember Kaspa Silver put together some theory that the people that were mining it were going to hodl, when in fact, it's a far more dynamic economics 101 model. It's all about supply and demand. The more miners you have set up, it alters the supply and demand dynamics. Before, it was 10,000 GPU miners. When you step up and now there's only 1,000 ASIC miners taking over all that hash power, you change the supply and demand dynamic. As less people are holding it, let's say they're all from Russia and they're going to sell when the stock market in Russia opens at 6 o'clock. That's like an ice cream truck that drives around the neighborhood and sells ice cream once a day versus a stand on the corner. Because there's a restricted supply with the ice cream truck, they get to pay a premium. And as you change the supply and demand, this is a concept of ASIC mining and crypto. So obviously, plugging ASICs in was going to be super bullish. But this has happened in history before. At a far more, it was way more severe back then. Yes, that's absolutely right, because at the end of the day, retail doesn't move the market as much as we would like to think. It's far more around the institutional level investors, the investment banking class. They're the guys who really get things cooking. They're the guys who dictate everything. Plus, they've got the influence as well. So let's say that the KII gets carbon credits. We're talking about carbon credits here. For anybody who's traded anything in stock, every day when you wake up, you'll have that program that sends you the hit news for the day. You'll always hear about climate change, carbon credits. Will be tied into all the big movers somehow, whether they're bullish or bearish. It's a massive catalyst. And for Kaspa to be linked up to it gives it an immense catalyst of power. Huge. Yeah, back here, every time we get towards the bottom of these channels, everybody starts panicking. But there's really, this was very predictable. Knowing about fundamentals, about rate cut cycles, we put this all together in multiple posts inside VIP. What we offer here, we've got Kaspa leverage trading plans, AI altcoin trading plans, and they all tie into these video or post type of lessons. It's almost like you got an interactive book that's up to date. You get a book on charting or fundamentals, how to trade crypto. Here's the thing, it's outdated. For advanced traders, we're actually opening up a new VIP challenge section inside Discord. VIP members are going to get to post their own trading plans starting at the FOMC meeting in November. And everybody who does well will get props accordingly. It's a chance for people to display their talents because there's a lot of advanced traders inside our VIP group. They like the fact that they're hiring on a skilled set of eyes to, one, watch over all the charts for them, and then two, read all the white papers. For first off, I have read so many white papers just in the GameFi sector alone, and I'll show you how to do it. So before you sign up, you can try to do this work on your own, realize it's going to take you hundreds of hours, and then just hire me on to do it for you instead. And we've already proven after this FOMC, all the ones that we're finding, and we're like, yo, this one's hot. They're all hits. We've got DEAI, Spectral, and we've got some that aren't even listed yet. So I'll show you how to do it on your own. Go here to cryptorank.com. Do not go to CoinMarketCap. Use these filters and look for your gaming cryptos. So right now we're looking at artificial intelligence. Let's just do one on artificial intelligence instead. But look for GameFi. These are the up and coming ones, the ones that aren't even on the market yet. And we have found the most dynamic GameFi pick, as well as Polychain Capital's up and coming gem, which is definitely a distribution level play. This GameFi pick is going to be huge. So right now I've got a 3-pick portfolio: Kaspa, DEAI, and Spectral. Hopefully they'll delay this GameFi project until later in the market, because I want to back the truck up and get a lot of this on day one. If you're outside of the United States, you might even get a chance to invest in this in the pre-funding rounds. It's going to even crush Heroes of Mavia. So these are all the up-and-coming AI plays that we can look through. And you'll see always there's a very common narrative as you're gem hunting, and that is SoFi. They're connecting artificial intelligence with social media. There's a massive amount of regulation on the type of projects that can be listed in this up and coming bull run. And that, of course, is going to be dynamic for AI. Here's the kick about AI. Companies like Google, Nvidia, Microsoft, Facebook, Tesla, with their taxi robot driving, these guys are investing so heavily into artificial intelligence, and they're not doing any accounting for it. All cost has been thrown into the wind. They know the first company or entity to discover a sentient AI will ultimately take over the world, or at least their sector. Therefore, they'll spare no expense. This is going to roll directly into crypto. And we're seeing some more quality narratives compared to the last bull run. Some good projects coming out. So we've already gone through and done this. We found the best AI projects, and we also put together a watch list of other projects that are good, but we didn't do a 24-point report on them. Projects like TARS. You guys have probably heard of that AI pick, and a bunch of other ones. Once the market flips entropy and things start getting really bullish, once this rate cut cycle is done, we're talking Q1 2025, it's going to become new listing mania. Do you guys remember when this was like any artificial intelligent project that came out? It would like immediately double up in the first day. Do you guys remember that from back at the end of the Total Threes peak? This is one that Alex Becker called out that we got in VIP 24 hours early using our scanning system for how we vet new listing projects. We get the buy alert in here, then Alex Becker called it out, then massive rocket. The new listings will become hot and a great spot to start swing trading in January, February 1st, once the FOMC is finally done their rate cut cycle. These rate cuts, while they're long-term bullish, have near-term bearish implications. They're trying to save the economy from going bad. Yeah, those Tesla robots were wild. Wild. We've got videos This is why I'm pretty sure one of the Kaspa team members joined our VIP on how to use the repeating trendline system. Crypto's way different than stocks. This having an emission schedule creates a repeating trend line. You see that? And we can utilize this and augmentate it. That's why we're opening up the VIP challenge section in Discord. You guys got to get in on this to showcase your skills, combining the repeating trendline system with whatever you're using now. It could be the SMA, it could be Emochi's Cloud, RSI, MACD. What I use personally is stochastics, which is an RSI type oscillator. We use a bunch of different oscillators. That's my way of doing it. I teach that in VIP, but there's any type of spin that you can put on the repeating trendline system. It's so powerful. It's so undeniable. Everybody in the group's excited to see how people can use it and apply it. We're also going to be doing a who can create the coolest Kaspa merch design alongside trading plans. So that's going to be fun. Yeah, because there's lots of advanced traders, a lot of heavy hitters inside our VIP group because they can see the value. They understand the difference, the different products that are out there with the guys that are fair weather friends. Oh, today they like Kaspa, tomorrow they don't. Today they're 80%, tomorrow they're 30%. Social media, it's a wild place. And most importantly, macroeconomic trends. So every time we do a trading plan, we tie it into all this other information to really turn everything into more of a learning exercise. In a lot of these other groups, it's like a copy trading fest. It's much more important to absorb what's happening around for long-term personal growth as a trader. We still got plenty of time until the Bitcoin market finally starts to peak, until crypto market really tops out, as we just talked about. And here's the thing, right now we're really putting around. We're not lining up for some massive explosive growth. Using that repeating trendline system again, we can see right here, this is the y-axis repeating trend line. You can see it here. It's actually all over this chart. The y-axis, it fits everywhere. It's a repeating trend line. It's pretty funky. Anyway, it's been stopping price actively, and it just halted the price at 66 with no massive catalyst. And there's an election coming up running parallel with the next FOMC meeting. How can Bitcoin and thus the total 3 break through to new all-time highs without a big catalyst? They're not ready for their next leg up yet. In fact, this is all about to get bearish. Looking at the FOMC, this is the price we are at Bitcoin. We came up, tested the y-axis, tried to get bullish, and we got shut down. We tested this exact same level, tested it again, broke through it, had a nice rally today off of this trend line. And we've got the next major catalyst isn't until the FOMC meeting, which is November 5th. And then the election's November 7th. Elections scare people because it's uncertainty. The reason the fair weather friends are flying ship is because something uncertain happened. They didn't realize that all the teams that made those meme coins were going to completely do a bank run with all the Kaspa you gave them for those JPEG pictures. That's what they did. That's what caused the downside. You can ask artificial intelligence what's going on, and starting to develop a relationship with artificial intelligence to help you as a trader is something else that we teach inside VIP. It's one of my personal secrets. Artificial intelligence is the best teacher out there. Whenever I'm fielding a question, it's coming through my interpretation. I'm getting it sourcing from artificial intelligence. And after you've been using it, scrolling around, working with it, it just starts to become second nature to you. You'll start to learn all the lessons that it's dealing in. And if you ask artificial intelligence what happened with Kaspa, is the KRC20 meme coin launch going to be bullish or bearish? Go over both scenarios for me. Go over bullish, go over bearish. In the bearish scenario, the teams are selling the Kaspa that we just swapped. It's obviously what's happening. And then you back it up with technical analysis. Andy, you can send me a DM inside of Patreon. I haven't even chatted with you yet. Just click on my icon and send me a message in community and hit me up with your portfolio, and we'll break down a draft for selling and building from here on out. And I'll hook you up with the Discord so you can enter into the trading challenge. There we go. Thanks, Cody. The elections are the 5th. The FOMC is the 7th. Oh, yeah. Huge catalyst. And we've got a full, juicy amount of time until that for everybody to panic. It's October 11th. We're talking 3.5 weeks until then. Already tested this level twice. With altcoins, it's a bit different. So with altcoins, September 18th is really here. We bounced off that level once, and we haven't come down to retest it yet. Doyle Brunson was advertised to be in that poker tournament. Men the Master, Mike Maserati, the Grinder, all the greats were there. The way that they get these star-studded final tables is they'll have the tournament pop up with 100 people. 20 of them are Chris Ferguson's, Alan Greenspan's. And I'm like, Doyle's there. He's going to wear his cowboy hat. I'm going to rock the triple mohawk and go in there, and I'm going to win this game. And it's going to be me and Doyle Brunson at the final table, Cowboys versus Indians. And I'm going to wreck him. Like, you think Super Systems is good? Wait till you see my augmentation of Super Systems. Mindset. That's a great lesson in mindset. Always being, always be in the right mindset. I remember way back in the day when you're still learning trading, if you make one bad swing trade or one bad leverage trade, you'll start panicking, FOMOing, stuff like that. These seem like very basic concepts, but they can definitely influence traders. Mindset, healthy diet, all of this stuff is important while we're taking on learning and growing as a trader. So, yeah. I actually have hours of live cash game footage where I went into the casinos with a lipstick camera hidden in a keychain, and I could show everyone my hole cards, and I edited out the graphics. And I did what's known as the $10,000 challenge. So you walk into the casino with a $100 bill and you turn it into 10,000. Videotaped it all. It's no beeswax. It actually went down. So we start by doing a survey in the mall at MGM. They'll give you a free $70. So we round that up to 100, start playing 1, 2, build our way all the way up to 5, 10. It was a great video. I had a poker channel, but it's way too much work, too much editing. And besides, you will make way more cash with crypto. So this is the first double up of Kaspa when it's almost at 4 cents. Right after we purchased Son of a Tex bag, I sold Kaspa at the bottom to Jesse AI, basically is what he did. So we loaded it up And besides Kaspa Silver, we were the first guys to go all in, the first guys to really pig out on Kaspa. Instead of spreading it all around, we could have broke it up into different pieces, gone for some Kaspa, some AVAX, etc. Went all in on Kaspa. It's a much more easy position to manage. And once you have the number one asset already picked out, you're good to go. Looking at Buffett will tell you this. All these videos about Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, they get into why you don't want to diversify, why you actually want to focus all of your assets on your number one best pick. And then over time, as your savings can't really affect that, then you start to grow your bag. So using that mind frame, I've already got a 3-bag. I've got a juicy bag of DEAI and Spectral, because eventually you load up and you have too much Kaspa. Living in this tower is a subculture of all of Vegas, because in this tower is filled with successful multi-millionaires. There are guys in this tower who speak on CNBC, who go to the World Economic Forums, who own crypto exchanges overseas, who helped build electrical engineering. These are multiple different guys. The first Bitcoin ASICs. There are guys who made tens of or hundreds of millions of dollars on Bitcoin that I work out with, get to have coffee with, and they're very interested in reading my 24-point reports, going over what retail's looking at. They found it very intriguing. So I wasn't surprised when I got word from the KII that one of the Kaspa team members is actually in our VIP. Can you believe that? Because they like to look at what retail is doing. Who you surround yourself with, the sum of the people around you, without a doubt, I can say from moving into this tower, affects your life. Because before I was playing poker and I was doing trading, but I started becoming way more focused onto the trading. I had experience as a day trader. I can show you guys my GameStop purchase. Well, I have multiple times. I was in GameStop during the prior cycle. So I've been around the water cooler. These are all miners. I have a collection of miners from the last cycle top that you could have been around, just kind of showing the length of tooth here. Being around successful people will help you be successful. That's why joining the VIP gets you into this digital hangout, a digital coffee shop where we're getting closer to the objective truth, breaking down and analyzing theories, crunching them, dissecting FOMC data, crunching like this, the 500-day halving cycle. But it's pretty epic. Vegas is good. Depends on how much you can save every month. When your savings are starting to affect your position less than 5%, well, I mean, if you're only saving 1% more a month in Kaspa, what good is that going to do? That will be the difference. Remember, you guys, once the peak starts, and this is one of the reasons why you do not want to have a bag of 20 picks or 10 picks. There will be so much scatterbrained price action. It will be so emotionally taxing as you will become a multi-millionaire and then a 100,000-aire within the span of 14 days. You see where we're going with this? It's going to be dynamic price motion. It's going to be happening super fast. It's going to be very high pressure. You think that people are starting to fight and getting nerves up right now based on this FOMC breakout and the KRC20 meme coin teams selling Kaspa? It's going to be 10 times that. So start getting ready now. back to the question at hand. You're not, I mean, it's going to be swinging so up and down. Eventually, your savings don't affect the amount that you have to the point where, well, it might as well just start getting a bag of something else. $5% or less, I would say. Because what are you going to do? Save plus gains to the upside. You're going to be able to buy for only so much time. So you're going to affect your bag, what, 20% more? 20% more Kaspa in the grand scheme of things once price is flying up or down. It's not going to make a huge amount of difference. It all comes down to selling the top. This is our number one issue right now. As well as, well, we're going to be buying this swing low. Like we've been theorizing inside of VIP. This is half the post. We have the projected where the low is headed and when to buy for everything. For everything. So Bitcoin, let's look at what's been happening since this happened. It did a nice check to the upside here and now is coming back down a little bit, cooling off. Just tested this twice. This is going to give out based on every historical fundamental piece of data. Every single time they cut rates, risk on assets go down. It's actually bearish. This was the first rate cut. So you have a huge rally in anticipation, a 10-day rally after, and then a sell-off. Next FOMC meeting, rally, sell-off, rally, sell-off. And then finally, we were in the clear actually by here. And then this was lockdowns. So the rate cut cycle is like from here to here. And then it's over and you start to get this run up. And that's about January 30th, February 30th. And that's right when crescendo's going to launch, 10 BPS. So we'll see where all of these fair weather friends are after the crescendo 10 BPS. Very good. All right, guys. So this weekend's up-and-coming videos. The KII has some awesome intel. They're loading me personally up with study material for what to soak up, and we're going to be releasing some exceptional content covering Warp Core, XRP, what is ISO 222, everything that they've got in store for the Kaspa chain, the entire world of the energy trading, the European Federation of Energy Trading. This is an entirely new sector. You got stocks, you've got crypto, and then you've got energy traders. All of this stuff I've been researching for the past 48 hours. This is all I'll be doing for the next 72 hours. All tonight, I'll be reading up on energy trading, and we're putting together 2 awesome videos back to back. Tomorrow will be Kaspa versus XRP. And this is what the gigawatt coin is all about. And then later, the KII, after they distribute it to the investment banker class, the top of the food chain, our VIP will get a copy of the gigawatt white paper. And then we'll look at it. And then, of course, we'll get it to everybody else. Oh, absolutely. And we are going to be DCAing. We're not going to try to take all of our cash out all at once. That will not be good for a multiple amount of reasons. Starting with taking some out during the run-up phase, which will be closer to that date we're talking about in the beginning. It won't be exactly October 11th. It will more likely be pushed back towards November because of the delay of rate cuts. But we'll know because it will be Bitcoin around 150,000. That's double its previous local top. And with the popularity of crypto, everybody has a fairly good assertion that we will be reaching $150,000 at least. So there's a multitude of ways to put this together. Again, we're still waiting on, and this is really important for this entire price model, Trish, is the FOMC's data. How this top is going to play out is up to the central banks. The easiest model for us to trade off of, which will also be the most bullish, is if they come out in Q1 of 2025 and they just hack that full point off as fast as possible. It'll be a lot more touch and go in the scenario where they just keep cutting rates all throughout 2025. As when they go fast, this just deflates air out of this bubble faster and gives us a clear date for when that low cliff drop is, thus when we're going to start to see upside based on that whole February 20th, 2020 date, which is super key. Playing into the later distribution phase 550 days after. But yeah, we're going to start by selling during the run up and then into the distribution. So if you guys want to get tangent wallets and separate your Kaspa ahead of time, code JesseAI. I have mine split out into like a zillion wallets. You get a discount, and because you used an affiliate marketing link, you'll automatically get an affiliate marketing. So when you're hooking up your friends, which probably don't have a huge bankroll, but your relatives might invest a lot in real estate and or the stock market, and they'd love to get in on crypto, but they don't know how to use the computer. You do. You now can step up and help out close family members, get them in on even just Bitcoin or Kaspa. Load the bag now, help them sell in 2025, 2026, and then be like, yeah, where's my cut? Just an idea to throw out there for those of you who have relatives, and you can get automatic kickbacks right there. You got the tangent. Excellent. Yeah, DCAing out, definitely the best way to go. It helps with the peace of mind too, because the one thing that we don't want to fall into is human error. As the pressure's going, like we were just talking about, you're going to be a multi-millionaire one day, you're going to turn around and be a 100,000aire 2 weeks later, and then you're going to go right back up to a multi-millionaire of even higher status. Therefore, dollar cost averaging on the way out is good. And guess what? We know the exact catalyst that ends the entire party. So no matter what, we will not get rug pulled on inside our group. What is it? Exactly. When the feds raise rates. You can see this time and time again. As soon as they start bumping up, even 25 basis points, November, December, it's from the QQQ to the Bitcoin to anything. That's when it all starts right there, November 2021. The central banks are signaling investment bankers, get your money out of risk on assets. The party is over. Hence, on financial TV, every news pundit will be reading details inside here, primarily about inflation, because that's what cues the central banks to recall Batman and Robin back to the Batmobile. These guys work hand in hand. They're like a team. They're not separate entities, really. Central banks and the investment banking class. They are definitely Batman and Robining this. The thing is, we're playing poker against a team. And then you've got the teams and then retail. So knowing that they're playing teams at the poker table is part of playing poker against them. It's easy to play against people that are playing teams. They're always doing hand signals. Whenever this guy takes his sunglasses off, you know he's going to raise, right? So knowing they're playing teams is key. And then knowing their signals is next. So worst case scenario, they start raising rates. That's it. Right then, party is over. We pull everything out. But until then, we DCA and go for maximum. Let it run for as long as possible. Yeah, so there has been chatter about a party or a get-together, I should say, a meetup for giving retail a chance to thank the Kaspa team who visits and goes to Sin City Studio. I have contacts inside of Sin City Studio. They've helped me out building this live stream deck inside my condo. They've offered me a chance to rent their studio to do interviews with the KII, for example, in the future, which may be happening. That's going to be some epic content. So after the bull market cycle is done, everybody's got their cash in the bank. We're all happy. We finished shorting Bitcoin because that's the other trade. Remember, we get to short this all on the way down too. And you know how easy it's going to be to short it? We just wait for them to start raising rates. And that's not only the signal to get out, that's the signal to enter a short. So you can get a little cherry on top. Boink. A little extra do-re-mi. So the Sin City Studio had offered me the next time the Kaspa team was in town to go to lunch with them, maybe do a meetup like that. So hopefully we'll be able to put something together for people to come to Vegas and meet the Kaspa team. Of course, I don't even know the Kaspa team, but this is something that could be going down in the future. So that'll be cool. All right, guys. Thanks for checking out this video. And shout out to Archie. We don't want to really diss what he's done because he did a great job. And part of utilizing this tool together as a community, as a whole, is to put ideas and theories up because we're looking for the objective truth. So instead of talking smack about Archie and being like, oh, you're wrong, just be like, you know, great point. And then we're building off it because we're trying to find the objective truth here. And I know that we did rough up a lot of the other creators in a video we did a while back because it's terrible for the community as a whole to have the content creators get together and shake each other's hands and be like, great pick. Yeah. Oh yeah. He's really smart. No, no, no. You need to compete and you need to find the objective truth by competition and bouncing around different ideas. When everybody just starts going, yes, this is great. That's how we get disasters like that whole GameFi phenomenon 400 days ago, when everybody was live streaming together, talking about GFAL, Lit Labs, Hello Labs, and PlayZap. And then they just completely rugged on everybody. I was the lone gunman that was like, yeah, no, no. And it didn't blow over because it was like groupthink. So much better now that we've got a little fight going amongst creators, much better for the community as a whole. You're going to see elevated content, as we can see with Crypto John. Hats off to him. Just did a video about CPI data. So cool. Mission complete. We'll catch you guys on the next one.